Today I'm speaking with Peter Carnavas, author and illustrator of 6 picture books. His latest picture book is The Children Who Love Books. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
In 2007, you sent your first manuscript off to a publisher. The manuscript became your first book, Jessica's Box. What was your motivation for sending it off to a publisher?
It was probably my wife told me to. I had been writing stories for a long time, and as a primary school teacher I became immersed in picture books, and it wasn't until I started making some books for my family, for nieces and that sort of thing, that my wife sort of said to me, you know, this could be something you're good at, putting the words and pictures together in a picture book. So that was a motivation. I spent a year or so putting Jessica's Box together, and then sent it off, and then just forgot about it until I heard back from the publisher. Yeah.
Most authors have horrible stories about numerous rejections that they've had before their first published book. The first manuscript you sent off was picked up by a publisher. What would you have done if it hadn't been accepted, if you got a rejection like so many other authors?
I probably would have thought it was justified, because as soon as I sent the story off I thought that it wasn't good enough and I can do better than that. If I had been rejected, I probably just would have shelved that story altogether and started on something new, and tried to submit a better story, I think, but it turns out that that story was good enough despite what I thought.
Yeah, well, I'm happy it was picked up, and it really was the start of this incredible career that you have had and are still developing. Since Jessica's Box was published, you've had 6 picture books that you have written and illustrated published, and 2 other picture books that you have illustrated. Your latest picture book, The Children Who Love Books, has been incredibly popular, released on the 1st of June, sold out by the end of the month, has been reprinted already. What do you think it is that draws readers, both parents and children, to this book?
It's a celebration of books, and it's about how books bring people together, and I think it has just struck a chord because there's so much talk about the importance of reading at the moment, and it has coincided with the National Year of Reading as well. But I think it's just the sort of warm fuzzy part of the book where the family comes together through reading, through books, that people have really sort of latched onto. It's a book with some deeper meanings, which I usually try to put into my stories, and the parents usually like that aspect of it, but it's hopefully a simple, whimsical tale as well that the children can enjoy at the same time.
Your books are very well known for those underlying messages that you use in your books. What is the underlying message that you want to get across in The Children Who Love Books?
Well, there's actually 2. I'm trying to push, I shouldn't be pushing messages, I suppose, but I'm trying to push 2 messages in this one. And the first one is how books can bring a family together, and it's something that I've experienced myself with my own family, and anybody who's read books to children knows that feeling. That's the first message. And the other theme for me, which is just as important, is the idea that we don't need a big house and lots of material possessions to enjoy being a family. And in the story they live in a caravan, so it's a very small space that they live in. But in the book you'll notice that they enjoy living in that small space because they learn to share space and put up with what they've got, and then enjoy it. So that was another big message that I wanted to put into the story. And all those themes usually come from something I've read myself, like an adult book that I've read myself, and I just try to think how I can channel that into words and pictures for children.
Is there a particular adult book you read that really motivated you with this story?
Yeah, there's a book called Affluenza by Clive Hamilton and Richard Dennis, and it's all about one of the key themes from that story that book that I picked up is that over the last few decades people's houses are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but their family sizes are getting smaller and smaller. So it gave me this image of all these, just a few people rolling around in big mansions and spending time with each other. So I thought if I can put a family and a few animals in a little caravan, then they're going to have to spend time with each other and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's certainly a really beautiful story, and you really get the closeness of the family in this book. Your two characters, two children, are called Angus and Lucy, and in fact in all your picture books you have children and they have different names: Edward and Christopher, Jessica in Jessica's Box, and Sarah in Sarah's Heavy Heart. How do you pick the names for the children in your stories?
I tend to like traditional names. I think it just gives your book a better chance of being relevant in years to come. And it's often just the rhythm of the name when you say them. So Christopher, from The Important Things, I just love the rhythm of Christopher. I think I was reading a lot of A.A. Milne's poems at the time about Christopher Robin.
Of course, yeah.
And Jessica has a similar rhythm. Angus and Lucy, they're just sort of, I guess, old-fashioned names that I like. And now I'm sort of running out of names, so I often have to Google old-fashioned baby names on the on the computer to get some more ideas.
Right. Yeah. You are an ambassador for the National Year of Reading. As you said, this book has been very timely, works very well with the National Year of Reading, encouraging children to read, and perhaps more importantly, parents to sit down and read with their children. As an ambassador, what does that mean? What are you doing this year to promote reading?
Well, I'm spending a lot of time in schools, just basically trying to get kids excited about reading, and not just reading, but what they can do with stories. So coming up with their own stories and illustrations as well. And it's almost easy for me, because if you start telling stories to kids, they're interested straight away. And when you give them the power to tell the story themselves, then everything, I feel, becomes a bit easier after that. So it's just about getting excited about books and excited about stories and what they can offer you and where they can take you.
When you first published Jessica's Box, you tell a story of your publisher saying to you, whatever you do, don't give up your day job. Keep your day job, but keep writing in your spare time.
Yeah.
This year you actually did give up your day job and are now writing full-time. Your day job was a full-time primary school teacher. Now you spend a lot of time going into schools, and in fact are often called back to schools you've already been to because you're brilliant at talking to children. What is it that, what's the difference between being a primary school teacher and going into schools as an author and talking to children in that environment?
To be honest, there's a lot less stress than being a teacher. I think teaching is certainly one of the hardest jobs around. There's so much pressure coming from all angles, and most of the time you just want to spend time with the kids, and there's so many other influences sort of making that job more difficult than it should be sometimes. So going in as an author, it's just a treat to get in there and read stories and draw pictures and do all the things that I wish I had more time to do when I was teaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're here in Sydney at the moment on a book tour. You're going to a number of schools, including schools you have already been to, talking about the children who love books. What can we expect from you next year?
Next year? I've illustrated another Mr. Darcy story written by Alex Field, and I'm working on another book of my own called The Boy on the Page. And once again, it's got quite a deep theme to it. I don't always mean to, but they're the stories I'm attracted to. So it has another deep theme, and it ends up being a bit of a meaning of life story. But once again, hopefully my little characters will carry it through, so children enjoy it just as much as grown-ups do.
And have you decided on the names of your characters in this book, or?
No, this one doesn't have a name. He's just the boy on the page. Yeah, okay. So I got out of it. Didn't have to think of one. Yeah.
Very good. Well, we look forward to your books that are coming out next year. Congratulations on your latest book, The Children Who Love Books.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.